Hello and welcome. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Gargi Rawat. Our top story, Aryan Khan's bail order was released today and shockingly, it's very clear there is no such case against Shah Rukh Khan's son, at least not what the Narcotics Control Bureau was making it out to be. The bail order says there's no evidence of conspiracy between Aryan Khan, Arbaz Merchant or Munwan Dhamecha to commit any crime. On the NCB's claim of WhatsApp chats allegedly recovered from Aryan's phone, the court said that nothing objectionable was found to prove conspiracy. No drugs were found in Aryan Khan's possession, while the quantity recovered from Merchant and Dhamecha was small under the NDPS Act, the court noted. Aryan Khan was arrested on the 3rd of October and spent nearly 3 weeks in jail. Now, Maharashtra Minister Nawab Malik, who's been hitting out against the NCB, has said it's clear this was a fabrication and it's a case of extortion.
हाई कोर्ट के आदेश से ये स्पष्ट हो गया कि आर्यन खान के मामले में पूरी तरह से फर्जीवाड़ा रचा गया। ये पूरी तरह से किडनैपिंग और उगाही का मामला था। केंद्र सरकार को समझना पड़ेगा कि कोई अधिकारी फर्जीवाड़ा रच कर पूरी तरह से लोगों को बदनाम कर रहा है, उगाही कर रहा है, ऐसे अधिकारी पे कार्रवाई करे, उसे बचाने का काम ना करे।
Well, to talk more about this case and about what's been revealed by the High Court bail order, we're joined by Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, and Ashutosh Srivastav, Advocate, Supreme Court, someone who supports the BJP as well. First to you, Sanjay Hegde, what do we make of, what this, the High Court order has said on the bail, how it talks about there's no case to be made, how it says this whole, accusation that the WhatsApp chats prove there was a conspiracy. It says there's nothing in those WhatsApp chats that prove it. Also, the fact that these WhatsApp chats were something that, emerged in the course of investigation after Aryan Khan and all the others had been arrested.
Well, I at least had been saying on all TV channels right from the beginning that the NCP did not have a case. They tried to make up a case after having arrested Aryan Khan and his friends. And then they just threw a lot of muck, hoping that it would stick. Today, it has all come unstuck. I think this also has a salutary lesson for the media. A lot of media houses ran stories based on police plants and whatnot. The next time the policeman gets you to run some story, please say clearly to your viewers, this is the police version. This is the defense version. We will have to wait for further developments in court. Otherwise, a lot of the media warfare was, the police says this, these are the charges, and they hold mini trials and hold people guilty. You can't undo all that. Be very careful about what is said based upon police handouts or intercepts.
Right, but Sanjay Hegde, also the fact that the lower court didn't grant Aryan Khan and the others bail. The first court said that there was some technicality that they weren't the correct court to go to, but then the Sessions Court didn't grant them bail, and finally they had to wait for the High Court. We saw the same thing happening in the Riya Chakrabarti case, and in that also eventually the case was found out to not be exact what the Narcotics Control Bureau was claiming.
Of course, the Narcotics Control Bureau will now suffer a great loss of credibility because it has tied its fortunes and its reputation to the reputation of that particular officer. Be that as it may, you spoke about the Sessions Court. Now, the Sessions Court in this very case, with regard to all the other accused, let them off straight out. That itself was enough of an indication. As far as this case was concerned, with so much media attention, probably the judge felt that it was a matter where it was better that the High Court granted bail than that somebody said anything about a Sessions judge who had no constitutional protection.
All right, Ashutosh, your view on this, and especially now the way this case has been handled. We're also joined by Kunika Sadanand, actor and advocate in the Bombay High Court. But Ashutosh, first to you, this has brought it's been a disservice really the way this case has been handled. There's been so much attention to it. Of course, it's Shah Rukh Khan's son. It's been talked about worldwide, and now you find out it's such a flimsy case. You're really questioning how this all came about. And after the Riya Chakrabarti case, I really hadn't thought we'd see something like this happen again.
Yes, see, I feel that, all these authorities, including NCB, they are expected to be very serious about, making the cases while investigating, while arresting, the accused. Obviously, this is very, very important. Now, when nothing was recovered from Mr. Aryan Khan, and he was accused under the conspiracy, using Section 29 of NDTV. Now, conspiracy, criminal conspiracy is a very, vague term which has to be utilized in a very, very rare cases and with all, available evidences to it. Criminal conspiracy is something where, 5 people, if they are going to, rob a bank, and 4 people, they enter the bank and with arms and everything. And out of these 5, one is standing on the staircase just to see if somebody is entering the bank.
All those are the technicalities of this case, but I'm just saying.
So the question arises when the prosecution goes. Obviously, this 5th one who was standing on the staircase will also be prosecuted for the same offense. But the question arises whether this person, the 5th person, was really having conspiracy, was really having the the criminal mind to do so, or there could be some innocent person just standing on the staircase, but he was also, arrested, considering that he was.
But don't you think now the Narcotics Control Bureau should also be investigated? There should be some sort of, action taken. We do know there's an SIT looking into the role of Mr. Wankhede, but even for this to happen again in this manner.
Yes, I feel that every authority is responsible to the acts they do. And, obviously this is just a bail. Obviously this is not a trial. The trial will continue and then we'll come to know, because there will be further investigation in the matter. The charge sheet has not yet been filed. But prima facie, what is seen now is obviously disturbing to everybody. And it cannot be, an entire department cannot be blamed. But yes, the people who have investigated.
All right, I'd like to get Kunika in as well. And Kunika, your comments on what has been revealed today in the High Court bail order. Also, it does seem, and everybody's pointing out, a blatant misuse of power. And again, I can't believe that, after what we saw happen in the Riya Chakrabarti case, where the charges against her were so flimsy, they couldn't be proved. That case also is dragging on, but she's out. And, we're seeing somewhat a repeat of that.
Absolutely, Gargi. I want to point out here that when this whole thing started, I had said that Aryan Khan has access to lawyers and a whole battery of lawyers, a team of lawyers. What happens to the poor man or any common citizen who is inflicted with this, this problem, or who's conned into this problem? I'm going to call it a con now because it is really a con game. And I also want to thank the fact that Nawab Malik brought up these issues, because at that point of time I was very upset that he was targeting an officer. But look at what has happened. Here we are seeing that, and there was a channel doing a vox pop on Mr. Wankhede and taking popular votes from people on ground that we are with you, and there was this whole thing. The point is here that you have put that Section 29 for the simple reason to put the fear of God into this boy and his family and people around. And so it's like a double-edged sword where you are telling people you better keep quiet, don't talk about the important issues. Secondly, you're putting pressure on the family and on the other people who are concerned with the immediate family, that look, you can be a celebrity, but this is what we have done. I want to point out here, very, very important, that ED, CBI, NCB, these are tools of the government, no matter which party is in power. They are tools of the government, and this needs to be checked right now, not because of Aryan Khan only, but because of a common citizen who's going to get affected. People, they will file charge sheets against you, file an FIR against you, then they will keep calling you, they will not file the charge sheet. There are umpteen cases like this. The economic offences wing, the ED, the CBI, they will keep calling your office, your staff, your family members for investigation, but they'll not file the charge sheet because they know they have nothing against you. So this needs to stop, and serious investigation needs to be done about this. And I really hope that Mr. Shah Rukh Khan and his team of lawyers really go hammer and tongs at this, because they will be doing the service, they will be doing a good service to the nation and to the people of the nation.
Right. I remember Riya Chakrabarti's lawyer had said the same thing, that, you know, he would file for defamation, especially because of the media trial that took place. Sanjay Hegde, you know, final word to you. The fact that Kunika has made these comments, or this, you know, case she's making, that how can an NCB officer do something just by himself in this manner and, you know, just be like this lone agent who is carrying out these sort of very high-profile investigations? Shah Rukh Khan's son, again, you know, I'm just saying he's in his 20s, but Shah Rukh Khan is a superstar, and again, this has made news around the world.
Absolutely. And what kind of news, what kind of impression does it leave about our agencies? It is time that every policeman in this country realizes that he has only one master. It is not the politician, it is the law, and it is the constitution that he is bound to uphold. Do everything lawfully and nobody can pick a finger. Today, in the case of this particular officer, all that I can say is that these are two prominent victims that have come to light. Mr. Malik has been highlighting some other victims also, including his first wife's cousin, who is supposed to have been fixed in a NDPS case. Imagine if one officer can do this, and imagine if there are rogue officers in various other agencies.
And everyone can't afford these high-profile lawyers, these star lawyers to come in.
No, and we are not a police state. It now behoves both the courts and the media to have a dose of healthy skepticism about anything that the investigative agencies put out.
All right, one final word to Konika. I'm completely out of time. Konika, you wanted to make one point. Just go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to say that, is there a rule of law in this country or not? And as the advocate of the gentleman Ashutosh Srivastav just said, that this is just a bail order. I'm sorry, sir, but the bail order will also, the tone and tenor of the bail order will also prevail on the further investigations. And it must.
Madam, in many cases, bails are granted, but after that, the trial.
All right, we'll wait for the charge sheet, but it's very clear from what the Bombay High Court order has said, the bail order, that there is nothing, there's no case there. The WhatsApp chats don't stand, which is one of the main things that the NCB was talking about when it was trying to make this case of conspiracy. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you all for joining us this evening on the program. All right, that brings us to the second issue we're discussing today on Left, Right and Centre. Now, Prime Minister Modi spent the day today attending official events in Lucknow. It was his second straight day in UP as the BJP is pushing hard in the state that it hopes to retain in the crucial state elections, which are just months away. The focus, however, as far as all the political developments went, firmly remained on the repealing of the farm laws and the entire controversy around it. BJP MP Varun Gandhi, who's been increasingly offering views divergent from his party, posted a letter online to the Prime Minister. It was addressed to Prime Minister Modi, in which he listed 4 big demands following the centre's surprise cancellation of the controversial farm laws. He's reminded the Prime Minister that over 700 farmers would have still been alive had he taken the decision earlier. He's also demanded 1 crore compensation for those who died during the protest. He also demanded that all politically motivated cases filed against farmers be dropped and their demand about the minimum support price be looked at. He also raised the issue of the deaths of farmers in UP's Lakhimpur Kheri last month, calling the entire incident a blemish on our democracy. Well, to talk more about the Prime Minister's decision as well as the impact all this would have on the upcoming UP elections, because really that's what everyone is talking about, how it just does seem this decision taken in view of the elections. We're joined by Yogendra Yadav, Member Coordination Committee of the Samyukt Kisan Morcha, a member also of Swaraj India, Supriya Srinate, a national spokesperson of the Congress, and PKD Nambiar, a political analyst and someone who supports the BJP. Yogendra Yadav ji, first to you. We know tomorrow the farmer unions are going to be meeting and taking their decision, but what is the impact you feel this move of the Prime Minister's will have on the ground in UP? Is it going to convince farmers? Is it going to convince voters?
There was a time when I used to do this election analysis. Fortunately, I don't do that anymore. I would simply imagine that the voters would not simply look at the fact that the Prime Minister has repealed these 3 laws or has promised to do so. They would also remember that it took the Prime Minister more than almost 1 year to do so. They would also recall the fact that when the unconstitutionality of these laws was quite evident, despite that the government went ahead with it, they would remember all the things that the farmers were dubbed as terrorists, Khalistanis, Pakistanis, agents of Congress, Dalal and Aratiya. I guess farmers don't forget these things. So when the Prime Minister does go back, and of course it is a major retreat from the government, and it is a very welcome crack in that whole facade of omnipotence that this government has created. They would see it as a tactical retreat. They would see it as a political move. And they would see it as a sign of weakness and growing unpopularity of the government. I don't think this is going to convince the farmers that this government is pro-farmer, because that is something they have seen. If the government was pro-farmers, the least they would have done was to consult the farmers before they brought these bills. If the government was pro-farmers, the government would have known last year in October and November that the farmers didn't like it very much. They could have withdrawn it at that point. If the government was even humanitarian in the month of January and February, when farmers were sleeping out in the cold, they could have at least spoken and withdrawn some of these things. When it does, it looks like a political, cynical move, which is unlikely to move the farmers. That's my estimate. It is not election analysis. It's just my political sense.
All right, PK Nambia, your response to that, and also how it's being said, especially what happened in Lakhimpur Kheri, where you have the junior Minister of State's son actually driving his car, running over farmers. He's now in jail. The minister remains where he is for the moment, and the impact of that on farmers and on the people in UP has been huge. And it's being said that it's reports due to that has led to this decision.
So I don't agree with you on that, because there was multiple reasons for this decision. In fact, the Prime Minister himself has clearly mentioned during his address that it is a very well intended, which is required to have this reform on the agriculture reform is one of the must for this country, for the farmers, of the large amount of farmers to come up in the ladder. But unfortunately, a large number of some section of the people, especially in the Delhi and the adjoining Delhi areas, the farmers who have the muscle power, in other words, have been able to somewhere block the roads. We have not seen too much of road blocks across the country other than this. So I have been a great supporter of this particular. Yeah,
it was meant as a move to pressurize the government. It's the seat of the government. So yes, farmers did arrive from all over to Delhi.
Dagi, I am saying that it is, of course, the democratic rights of the people who do not agree to this particular laws which has been passed. And I think finally the government has taken a decision that the Prime Minister, he could have simply announced it through a press release, but whereas the Prime Minister addressed the nation and said, such an emotional way, conveyed to the people that yes, if कुछ भूल अगर हमसे कुछ भूल हो गया या हमारे से कुछ रह गया होगा तो इससे और क्या कर सकते हैं? This is the best way. A true statesmanship is what he had shown to the.
All right, Supriya. Let me get Supriya in here. Supriya, your comments on this. Congress, of course, is observing Kisan, Vijay Devas, etc. But with this move, the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, perhaps, again, the impact on the voters, and it could become acceptable to certain smaller parties and as an ally in the elections. The RLD, Samajwadi Party, tie-up is not final yet.
I just want to make a brief comment before I want to talk about electioneering. This shows panic on the part of the Prime Minister, and panic not because farmers were inconvenienced for almost a year, not because 700 farmers lost their lives, not because a boy in Lakhimpur, the son of a Union Home Minister, feels he can run down and mow down people under his car, and the man continues to be India's State Home Minister. He's panicking because he is seeing an impending loss in elections, and in an election as crucial as Uttar Pradesh. This is not a change of heart. What is he emotional about? Not a word about 700 lives lost that could have been saved. You are telling me these are good reforms. Who is going to trust the Prime Minister? Because the same BJP leaders are today saying, Once the UP elections are over, we will bring back these laws. This government runs on ordinances, but they're going to wait for the winter session so that these laws can be taken back. You've just extended the tenure of ED and CBI director through ordinances. Who are you trying to fool? And Gargi, now to answer your question directly, if anybody believes that electorate in India is so gullible and so vulnerable and so stupid that you make them suffer for a year, you take on India's farmers yet again after land acquisition where you had to do an about turn, and people will go and vote for you. He's really, he's perhaps daydreaming. I will only say one thing. 700 farmers have lost their lives. People were mowed down in Lakhimpur. The man continues to be the Union State Home Minister. If you have any shame, sack your minister tonight, not tomorrow morning.
PK Nambiar, this is something the BJP's own MP, Varun Gandhi, has written this letter and made it extremely public, in which he's asked for the same thing.
In a democratic party, I believe that people who have got an opinion should have the right to raise their voice. And I think if Varun Gandhi he is not just an MP of a party, he is also a citizen of a. He has got some concern. Why not? Maybe yes. I am a great. I don't represent BJP. I support the views of that right leaning. But I wanted to tell you something. If Varun Gandhi has got so much of an issue with this particular party or this thing, he should look at. There are many other options. We are such a large country. I don't know. Either he should
very interesting. You said that Yogendra Yadav, you wanted to make a point earlier. Let Yogendra Yadav wanted to respond to what you said earlier. Go ahead. One minute. Let Mr. Yogendra Yadav respond. Yes, go ahead.
It was amusing to hear about democracy from Mr. Nambiar about the BJP. Well, yeah, I thought Mr. Nambiar did not do much justice to the Prime Minister of the party he supports, because he seemed to be suggesting that there were some muscle men from nearby states. And are you suggesting that the Prime Minister has buckled under muscle men? I mean, you're not surely doing justice to the Prime Minister. Also, the whole defense that you put up seems rather odd to me. The Prime Minister did not say humse galti hui hai. You probably didn't hear the Prime Minister very closely. I did. The essence of what the Prime Minister said was, you are an idiot, but I apologize. That's what he was saying.
Well, he did say, I apologize for not being able to convince a section of the farmers. I'm sorry, I'm completely out of time. I apologize here. We're completely out of time right now. Thank you so much for joining us with your comments on the show today. Thank you all for watching at home. Goodbye.